Welcome to Never Rewrite. I'm Isaac Askew. Uh, and we're joined today by special guest Thomas Morris.
Hey,
Thomas,
how's it going?
that's going pretty good. I think today you wanted to talk about what was it? Layoffs, AI, the tech industry as a whole, etc.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, it's not too somber when we talk about
Mm.
this kind of stuff. But
Well, we
it's
need
been
some
like,
somber to counteract all of our laughter.
yeah, yeah. Let's turn down the pressure mood a little bit. Yeah. I guess I'll start with just like for the past, honestly, since basically around 2023 when layoffs really got out of control in
Mhm.
technology or the tech sector. I think the biggest one in 2023 was Google. At that point, I forgot how many people they laid off, but that was kind of catalyst for a lot of tech layoffs. And interesting how so I have opinions about this. Reason why I want to talk about this. It seems like a lot of the reasons I've seen from 2023 to 2025, and probably into the future with a lot of these tech layoffs is being associated with AI, like
Mm.
generative AI, large language models, basically removing the need for hiring employees and makes it basically 10xing your current senior developers to basically be much more performant and proficient. Uh, Part of me agrees with that, but also part of me also sees that I remember looking at this video on YouTube that talked about the mix between AI being utilized and then offshore employees being hired. And so there's
Mm.
a graph that shows Amazon hiring people who are offshore. So I think the biggest hiring location, not surprising anyone who's in tech, but India had a massive hiring from Amazon employees, and then a massive decrease in employees being hired that was native to America or Americans. And that discrepancy. So I think it's a move for a lot of corporations trying to corporation going to corporation at the end of the day, capitalism going to
Mm.
capitalism. So I think it's coming down to a mix of AI utilization for the senior developers, but also a mix of them having just hiring cheaper labor at the end of the day. And
Got it.
curious to be what your opinion is on that, Isaac, because I've been thinking about it a lot.
Yeah, I don't really have like any hard stats on like, oh, they're definitely laying off people because of AI, or what stats like I don't that graph you referenced about like swapping domestic hiring for international or India based contractors, but I can I can see the impetus for it,
Hmm.
at least for the former like the AI related layoffs. If you've like I've seen a lot of increase in tools for essentially replacing junior level engineers. So,
Yeah.
like when you think of Claude or ChatGPT, Copilot, they allow some senior and higher individuals to like code a bit faster. You've essentially got a pair programmer with you. You can vibe code, right? um, you've and you can move a little faster. Like I think I talked to Jeffrey about this in prior episodes, where some of the things that it's good at is giving you like I can say, hey, write me some regex that can handle a bunch of these cases. And it does a
Hmm.
pretty decent job. And even for areas where it hallucinates or doesn't catch the edge cases, it gives me enough of a template to go, hey, write me unit tests for all of these,
Yep.
and then paste them in. And then I can actually write my own test cases where, like if I'm trying to format, like the easiest example is formatting somebody's name. You have
Yep.
to handle first name and last name, but what about if they put like a middle name or an M dot, or they do a junior, or there's a prefix for doctor, or they have like McPhail, like my family's last name McPhail, where you want the P
Ah.
capitalized, right? And
Hmm.
so there's so many cases for correctness here that having an AI generates the most common ones that catch things, and you go through and fine tune a couple of things they miss, like they probably won't catch the middle letter capitalization of McDonald or whatever, that kind of
Yeah.
thing, and you
Exactly.
might have to fine tune a couple of those. Um, but it does a pretty good job at replacing those, and I can move faster doing that, right?
Yep.
Especially if I can generate a lot of code coverage such that I can go in and hack and refactor something a lot faster. So
Yeah.
there's almost like this higher expectation on seniors and higher like principal and staff to move faster now that they have this aid that lets them generate some code that might save them 30 minutes to 2 hours depending on what they're doing. And then you don't really have the opportunity for the lower level people to come in and learn that, right? You
Yeah.
have this gap of people graduating. They can't find somebody hiring at a low level position because everybody wants some really experienced people, especially
Yep.
people who are already using AI and know how to utilize it to move faster. And so if you just happen to get lucky and you're higher up right now and you're established in your career, you're slightly safer than somebody trying to get a job for the first time.
You know what's
So
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right because like I'm pretty sure you're aware of this. Like the amount of recent graduates who are struggling, especially in the tech sector, to find jobs, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
is associated to that. And someone, like you think about it from like a logical standpoint or theoretical standpoint, where 10 years from now, like I mean, we're still going to be here in the tech sector.
Hopefully,
Hopefully, we'll, we'll see.
it's
I
gonna age
I.
like milk. Oof.
I honestly think the trajectory of the progress with a lot of these Gen AI tools and large language models is at a logarithmic state right now. If I had to choose, a lot of people thought it would be exponential by now, but it's still tapering off. Like you see, like recent models from like ChatGPT, for example, the I think Model 5 came out and it performed worse than 4 in some aspects.
Mm,
I know Gemini, the recent version of Gemini has been doing fantastic in terms of like the Turing test they give to these AI models.
mhm.
But back to your comment about um, the like recent graduates. So 10 years from now, someone's gonna have to basically replace the older developers because they're not always gonna be in the field. Especially you get like some type of nice severance out of a deal, or you get some type of nice equity out of it, so you can retire easily.
Yeah,
And so the younger generation will have to take their place. And to your point, if companies are not willing to invest money into upscaling recent graduates, and they're just going to say, "Hey, we got this AI that will take this place," and then a lot of companies are betting on AI to basically fill in the gap for juniors. But if that doesn't pay off now, 10 to 15 to 20 years from now, who's going to do those senior level roles that are not in their 40s or 50s? At
yeah.
that point, it's going to tamper down. At that point,
Well, there's this interesting thought where people had, um, where like the idea is that just your programming just gets higher and higher level,
yeah,
like your AI engineering, your prompt engineering at that point. All right, so like we're not programming in binary,
right,
assembly is written on top of that, and then C on top of that, and then so it got more and more readable, right, over time.
hmm
And maybe I haven't heard anyone make this argument, but I'm sure that somebody who was like programming in the 70s is like, yeah, this is real programming. You guys are doing all that magic method stuff. It's just a simpler version of it, right? As it gets higher and higher, if somebody who's really good at describing what they want,
right,
which is a beloved thing, especially from clients, if you can actually describe exactly what you want to
yeah,
somebody and they can build it, that's going to be more and more beneficial, right? In the future.
hmm
I think that in one of our prior episodes too, we were talking about the engineer who's like kind of a stickler for acceptance criteria,
oh yeah,
and they're like, "Oh, that wasn't an acceptance criteria," but like if they actually gave a fuck about the business and what the story was trying to accomplish, they could like look beyond acceptance criteria and go, "Oh, well, they didn't say this explicitly, but the whole point of this project is to do this for the customer. They probably want this too," and they're going to
right,
go back and give feedback on it and talk to the product person and say, "You meant this, right? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I missed that line item." Right? That's the kind of stuff that we need, right?
yeah,
And humans are really good at that. Computers are not so good at that pattern recognition yet, or I mean, traditionally ever, but they get better and better at it, right?
yeah,
So that stickler engineer who's like, all I do is you give me a ticket and I work on the ticket, blah blah blah. That's gonna die off because
yes,
if you need something to be that fucking literal for your ticket, you can give it to the computer because you did such a
right,
good job at being literal.
exactly,
You described exactly what you wanted. So now people are going to have to get a lot better at working and having cross roles. I think where you're like an engineer with a product hat on too. You understand like I'm not just an engineer who just builds the thing they tell me to. You're part of the
yep,
conversation going, oh, well, from my background, you're suggesting we do it this way. Actually, I think it will be simpler from an engineering perspective to build it this way. We might compromise here or there, but we can deliver in half the time.
hmm
That's the kind of feedback people need because you want an engineer on the team rather than like a room of product people talking to designers, talking to customers. because they're going to
Yeah.
design something that might be awesome but super difficult to deliver an engineering perspective.
Right. And a lot of this, and like you said, the part of it is the esoteric and nuanced side of the business, marketing, all the stuff that intertwines with your customer. And
Hmm.
I think the power that's going to really come from this is, I know everyone's really focused on Gen AI like a lot, but machine learning in general, and honestly, like things like Watson, Deep Blue, AlphaGo, learning algorithms that basically used for optimizing on playing a particular video game, for example, or board game.
Hmm.
Those existed for decades. And
Hmm.
so I think a lot of corporations need to understand is that this is just a tool. Like one of the books I really want to reference is Artificial Intelligence, A Guide for Thinking Humans by Melody Mitchell. Um, People can just replay that back if they
I'll
if
put
they
it in the
do look
show
at the book.
notes. Yeah.
Uh-huh. But it talks about like so all the AI like machines I talked about before, like from Watson playing Jeopardy, from Deep Blue playing chess, and then from AlphaGo playing Go. Um, these all were AI hypes before, where it was just like people were really hyped about AI because of what AI could do, and then at some point it just settles down. Then bind, settle down, bind, settle down.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the similar case because those were more abstract and more like specialized in into particular functionality.
You
Where
define the rules for it. Yeah.
exactly what LLMs today in general artificial intelligence today is a lot more like utilized. Like utilize it for asking to cook, utilize it for your work, utilize it for just asking for
Yeah.
directions. So
That's because
it's more
it's guessing. It's guessing the next answer based on like the likelihood of those words or tokens like being correlated. That's why it sucks
yeah.
at chess. Actually, if you try to get ChatGPT to give you the next move and you give it a grid, it will
Mm.
guess what the next move would be because of the likelihood of moving a different piece or whatnot, but it doesn't have the
Oh,
strategy behind it that like Deep Blue does, right? Because the
right.
parameter it wasn't fine tuned to win the game. It's
Mm-hmm.
just telling you, okay, out of all the history, people generally in this particular setup would move a knight over here next, even if it's like a dumb move that doesn't give you any strategy. They may have
Yeah.
changed that recently, but for a while, people were posting a bunch of joke videos on Reddit, about the suggested next move, like moving a pawn 3 spaces vertically or something,
Yeah.
which is not even in the rules because it doesn't know the rules. It just knows, oh, what does the board normally look like next, and
Yeah.
regardless of how the pieces can move, what have we seen happen
Yeah.
historically?
And to your point, like to expand on that, it's just like that's where I think a lot of corporations need to focus the not like you can still do general artificial intelligence for general purposes. It's in the name, but you have specialized tools like NLP engines, machine learning algorithms, like probability statistics built that you could build in inside that uses like tools like Python Tensor, for example. Like either at the campaign, we use tools like that to understand how to win probability set up, and you have that
Right.
specialized for the data that's managed inside. I think a lot more corporations are more so focused on like big language models instead of like, hey, build out your probability statistics system in house with the data that you have, and you can probably and combine that with what you mentioned before. You have a deeper understanding of how what your users actually use for your application, and you understand your users' behavior a little bit better. And on
Hmm.
top of it, you combine it with the nuance and esotericism that comes with people specializing in marketing, with
Right.
products, with that mindset. Combine those all together, and you can actually build a viable product that actually gives you an edge in the marketing in the market that you're in right now. I think a lot of corporations are so engaged with just like Gen AI, where it's just like we have the tools in place. Like Gen AI is not going to go anywhere, but you're kind of ignoring the other tools that you can use at your disposal to give you a competitive edge that you could use with the data that you have at your disposal right now.
Right. Um, I think that's a good point. I want to get back before we get too far down that line to that
Oh
the
yeah,
concept of layoffs, right?
yeah,
The original topic, I guess, was like how it's affecting layoffs. I don't know if it's necessarily like the first thing that you mentioned was layoffs related to like engineer hiring, right? So if people
yeah.
outsourcing engineers to India or whatnot. But the first thing I think about when I think about layoffs is like this customer service perspective, where you have like
Mm,
even worse. Like if you ever like try to log into or check out customer support in like Comcast or any of these random. Maybe it's not Comcast, but it's like some telecom companies where you try to
Yeah.
like talk to somebody, you can tell after a
Yep.
while you're not talking to a real person. And the
Yep.
first line of defense is let's just put them in front of our LLM bot. We made a bot. We gave it all of our customer information. Maybe they gave it all the transcribed chats from everything
Mm-hmm.
that's happened over the last few years and how they've normally resolved problems. And then the bot can respond in there. And they go, okay, the bot's doing a pretty good job. We can lay off half, if not more, of our customer support team. And then
Yeah.
the bot goes first. And if finally it escalates, then we'll give it to one of the few customer support people we have left. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one big one, I think, is, and it makes it worse on the customer experience too,
Oh yeah.
especially for me. Like I mean, almost every time I talk to them, I'm like, no, that's not what I was talking about. That's not what I'm getting at. There's because the only reason I'm talking to customer support to begin with is there was a nuanced case for me.
Right.
You know, there is not a generic case. You know, if it's something easy like, oh, there's a wrong address, I need to update the address for something to get sent to, sure. But if there's like some kind of weird thing where I have two accounts for some reason, it like
Mm-hmm.
whenever I try to make an account, it duplicated and now it's attached to the wrong one. The service is in the second account, but my billing's on the first account. It can't handle those cases. And then I have to get escalated anyway. And I end up just being infuriated trying to get the thing to get me to talk to a real person.
Yep.
And even then, we've outsourced the customer support half the time to another country that's like responding with their own prompts before that.
Yeah.
You know, but essentially, if a customer asks this, then click this, and it'll respond in a nice, polite way. way. And then oh, if you still can't do it, I have to super escalate you to somebody who's actually can solve my problem. So it
Yeah.
just makes it way cheaper on them because they get to fire half their customer support team.
Oh yeah.
Way worse on me. And then as things get, this is probably way off topic, but as things start getting, less and less competition and a few people remaining, the companies can go, I don't really care about the customer because they've got two choices
Right.
and we're slightly cheaper than the other guy. We know how much crap we can give them to make them leave, and this
Yep.
isn't to the point. We can give him this much crap, and he's still not going to leave us. We know that, right?
Well,
And then
that's
everyone's just miserable.
yeah, and that's the entire purpose of why monopoly shouldn't exist, right? Like what you alluded to earlier. If
Yeah.
you have just two companies that's playing, that's basically the main players in a space. So I know telemarketing is probably, I mean, or telecommunication is probably not a good one because you have Verizon, you have T-Mobile. What's the other one? God, what's the one with that green mascot that looks like a Pong from Pac-Man? One of those little monsters or ghosts. I forgot.
The telecom company.
Yeah. Well,
I
Mint
don't know.
Mobile's with I was about to say Ryan Gosling. Who's that dude from Deadpool?
Another
Who's the
Ryan.
Ryan?
I don't watch a lot of movies,
Ryan.
admittedly. Sorry. There's
Someone will.
somebody. There's somebody listening right now, like screaming his name. Like, how do you not know it's so and so?
They're like, how you not know Deadpool? Yeah, yeah, we might probably get yelled at.
Ryan Reynolds. I think it's right. Is that it?
Is it Ryan Reynolds? Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah,
Hold
yeah.
on.
There he goes.
The
That's funny.
power. Yes, it is. He is Ryan Reynolds. He owns some Mint Mobile. It's like this other telecommunications company. Back to my point, but if you have like a company, like what's a good example? Like say like for example, like the merger that's happening with Netflix and Warner Brothers right now.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Think about what happened if you narrow that, if conglomerates kept happening, where now you only have Netflix and Disney in the streaming space.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can price gouge the customers all they want, and people are just going to be like, well, I could move to Disney, but they're going to price the same way. So
Right.
that's yeah. So to your point, it's just like that's why conglomerates happen because now the less players in the market, the more they can remove employees that they don't quote unquote don't need,
Yeah.
but they can have layoffs, and then they can have a worse customer experience, and they'd be like, all right, if you leave us, where are you gonna go?
Yep. So I think in general, AI, like I mean, it's one of those complicated things where like it was a burst of sudden uh revolution. It's
Mm-hmm.
certainly changed things. And companies didn't really know, like a lot of them didn't even know what to do with it. Like, how's a way, find a way for us just to implement AI. Go, you know. Uh,
Yep.
and then once people found really good use cases for it, like replacing a lot of jobs. I mean, good for them, good for their bottom line, not good for the people who lost their jobs.
Exactly.
Uh, Once you get to that point, it's like uh, there's not any guardrails to be like, oh shit, we discovered a technology we weren't ready for. We didn't have anything to be in place or to help kind of
Right.
like make it to where companies, somehow can't just lay people off like this, like, which sounds kind of silly in the context of capitalism. But, if you have enough people replaced looking for work, you're going to have political unrest and social unrest because like
Oh
they
yeah.
need they need to make money and no one's hiring. And so either way, we're kind of coming up on time. This is like one of those evergreen topics. I just want to make sure that we don't let it go too far. And plus, also, we could talk about it again next time and have another video for next week.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
it's we've seen it. And that's one we've already had like 5 episodes or so about this topic in particular because it's still evolving. We
Right.
still think we see the technology getting better and better. It still hallucinates, but it's still getting better, especially from a programming perspective, because programming we can give
Oh
it
yeah.
rules. And then the layoffs, like you mentioned, I know a lot of people have spent a lot of time this year looking for a job,
Mm,
months, and they're great developers, but the hiring scene is like very particular now. So
yeah.
it's definitely something that kind of we're going to keep on our radar and keep having discussions about.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I try to avoid LinkedIn for multiple reasons. But and that's one of the reasons why I really I avoid LinkedIn because like a lot of people I see people saying that they got laid off from a job and they spent
Mhm.
like X amount of years at the corporation and it's just uh I, I it's funny because we look back to baby boomers for example and even when like looking at I'm like so another book I'm reading right now is called Plunder, Private Equity's Plan to Pillage
Mhm.
America. So one thing that book brings up, I know we're coming up on time, so I'll make it quick. One thing this book brings up was FDR, basically after the Green Deal. Oh no, the Great Deal. What was it
The
called?
new Green Deal.
The New
Or
Green Deal.
that's not the new one. It's just the Green Deal. Sorry, the new Green
The
Deal is the
Green.
recent one.
Yes, the Green Deal.
Mhm.
After that, like so many great socialist programs came from that. We had people who had 5-day work weeks that were 40 hours. They had unions that was
Mhm.
started unions. Social Security was erected from that. The FDA was erected from that. The food was there was potential food poisoning that was occurring, and all other programs came from this. And the great thing about that was that a lot of things, and I alluded to monopoly before, a lot of things was monopoly busters back in the day, especially with the FTC when it was erected. It was built to bust monopolies for this exact reason. And you could be loyal to a company and trust that, hey, after X amount of years, if I work for this company, I'm going to get a pension in place to make sure I'm all right in the future. And it's messed up in that book when a private equity firm actually acquires a company or buys out a company,
Mhm.
what they do with the pension plan. So apparently, I didn't know this. I read that book, but apparently, there's a department in the government called the Pension Bureau. The full name somewhere people can look up online, but it's a pension bureau where basically, if a corporation were to go bankrupt and employees were owed their pension, this government body would be responsible for paying out those pensions, but it would be at a discount. So now people say like my pension was like $1,500 a month. Now it could be cut down to $750 because the company's not paying for it, the government has to pay for it. And then the way private equity has their whole system set up is basically you can't the private equity firms incubate themselves from any liability from that. So they
All right.
still make
All
money.
right.
But, well, yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna have to put this.
Sorry, sorry.
I have a hard
I'm
stop.
done. I'm
So
done.
we got plenty more to talk about. I know this is kind of got off from the layoffs in tech for a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll discuss this more next time. So this is Thomas Morris. I'll put the show notes in, and then I will see you guys next time.
All right, cool. Thanks. Thank you again, Isaac. Peace.